tried to pass sensitive military technology, including missiles, air defense radar, and drones to the Chinese government.
Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell, who sits on the House Intel Committee, reportedly has ties to a Chinese spy, that alleged agent apparently trying to influence American politicians. And now Republican lawmakers are demanding answers.
FBI Director Kash Patel has provided Congress with declassified documents saying the Chinese Communist Party may have interfered in the 2020 elections.
The allegations prove true. They demonstrate a remarkable attempt by China to infiltrate government and influence policy.
Linda Sun, a former aide to 2 New York governors, is out on bond after she was charged with spying for China. Sun is a naturalized U.S. citizen born in China and was on the New York State payroll for more than a decade, rising to become Governor Kathy Hochul's deputy chief of staff before being fired last year. She even appeared in this video promoting women in leadership.
But equity is when we make sure that all of the people who are at the table have equal access.
At the same time, though, federal prosecutors said Sun acted as an undisclosed agent of China, working to prevent representatives of the Taiwanese government from meeting with high-ranking New York State officials, trying to shape the public statements of Governors Cuomo and Hochul to align with the Chinese government's political priorities. Sun, seen in this image, included in the indictment, where prosecutors say she met with members of the Chinese Communist Party. Sun even tweaking a Lunar New Year message, prosecutors say, so it would not refer to the plight of Uyghurs, a mainly Muslim ethnic group that China's been accused of targeting for genocide. In exchange, Sun allegedly took millions of dollars in kickbacks, and her husband, Chris Hu, is charged with laundering the money, enabling the couple to buy a $3.5 million home on Long Island. The FBI raided the place. There's also a $2 million condo in Honolulu, a brand new Ferrari, event tickets, travel benefits, and a special delivery of Nanjing-style duck prepared by a Chinese government official's personal chef. The indictment quoting Sun messaging a Chinese consular official, "I very much value my relationship with the consulate and have done many things to make the relationship between the state and the consulate flourish."
I'm furious and I'm outraged and absolutely shocked at how brazen her behavior was. It was a betrayal of trust, the trust of government, the trust of the people. And I'll tell you this, the second we discovered some levels of misconduct, we fired her. We alerted the authorities.
Sun's attorneys telling ABC News overnight, "We are disappointed by the filing of these charges, which are inflammatory and appear to be the product of an overly aggressive prosecution."
Their case is the latest in a series prosecutors have brought, meant to stop China from trying to secretly wield influence, George, in all corners of American life.
Quite a story, okay.
2 U.S. Army active duty soldiers and 1 former soldier were just arrested for selling military secrets to China. Now, there's 3 different guys labeled here. We've got the sergeant, Jian Zhou. Most of the stories about this dude, most of the indictment. Then we've got a Lieutenant Li Tian, who I guess was a health service administrator at JBLM, Joint Base Lewis McChord, out in Washington. And then the third member here is Rio Duan. Now, they say Tian, this health service administrator, sold sensitive materials on Bradley and Stryker vehicles for $500.
A British businessman has been accused of plotting to smuggle American military equipment to China. 63-year-old John Miller was arrested while on a business trip to Serbia and now faces extradition to the US. Our reporter, Graham Stothard, is in Mr. Miller's hometown of Tunbridge Wells. Graham, what are these allegations?
Well, he's been accused of committing a blatant assault against US national security and democratic values in crimes going back 2 years, arguably the most serious of which is attempting to smuggle weapons and information out of the United States and into China. The indictment alleges 63-year-old John Miller from Tunbridge Wells tried to pass sensitive military technology, including missiles, air defense radar and drones, to the Chinese government. They also say he hoped to get hold of a cryptographic device used to store sensitive data with the hopes of smuggling it to Hong Kong, possibly inside a blender or even a car starter motor. The indictment says he did this alongside another man, 43-year-old Chinese gentleman called Sui Guanghai. It says they paid tens of thousands of dollars to 2 people to harass an anti-Chinese government protester by installing a tracking device in his car and slashing his tyres, but the people they allegedly paid were in fact working with the FBI. They've now both been arrested in Serbia. The US is trying to extradite them. If they succeed and the pair are found guilty, they each could face up to 30 years in jail.
Two Chinese nationals are accused of smuggling a dangerous fungus into the U.S. through Detroit Metro Airport. Right now, the FBI is investigating. One woman worked at U of M. The other person works at a Chinese university. She has since been arrested. Investigators say the fungus contains toxins which cause vomiting, liver damage, and reproductive effects in people and in animals.
Representative Jim Banks, in a letter he sent on Tuesday to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, was demanding answers about, quote, obvious security risks that the Democratic vice presidential pick Tim Walz may have posed to the U.S. during more than a dozen trips he took to China as he was serving in the National Guard. Banks wrote to Austin that the risks of hostile foreign intelligence activity the Minnesota governor faced almost certainly were related to his security clearance, since he was serving as a senior ranking guardsman when traveling in China between 1989 and 2005.
Spoken to a couple people that served with Tim Walz in Nebraska in that guard unit, and they suspect, and we've done stories and tried to reach out to Walz for comment, but they suspect that perhaps he took their standard operating procedure, the SOP, for the howitzer army tank. He was assigned to this tank. It was nuclear capable, and this was all laid out in the SOP that goes missing while he's there. And
the manual goes missing?
Right, and they had talked to the FBI about this as well. There's so many questions.
What does that mean? So why did they talk to the FBI?
They think that he was traveling back and forth from China at this time, and then we also know that this howitzer...
Wait.
I know I sound crazy right now.
No, you don't sound crazy at all. You're recounting the facts.
Yeah.
You are saying that men he worked with in the National Guard in Nebraska went to the FBI because they believed he had given classified military secrets to the Chinese government?
They suspect that he did. And
well, they suspected to the point they went to the FBI.
Well, this was all when all these stories are coming out finally about his background, and they're like, maybe we should talk about this. These are guys that back then didn't report this. This was in the early 90s, and they always talked about it amongst themselves. And I think that they weren't completely aware of, the potential threat something like this could pose, but they always thought this was very strange. And then China started producing almost a carbon copy of this military tank a couple of years later.
You have loyalists in the building, because when I hear the FBI director saying, you guys are finding boxes that are hidden, okay, how does that happen in the Bureau?
Well, we were there a couple of weeks, and luckily there were a lot of people up there who grabbed us by the arm the minute we came in and said, thank you for being here. We need to talk. There are people there who are really horrified at what happened. And there was a room, and we found stuff, a lot of stuff.
A hidden room?
I wouldn't call it hidden, but hidden from us at least, and not mentioned to us. And then we found stuff in there, and a lot of it's from the Comey era, and we are working our damnedest right now to declassify. And just so you know, because I get the public, I totally understand people saying, well, do it now. The process is not all the information is ours to declassify. Some is other intelligence agencies. It's not, we literally can't do it. Once that gets done and that gets out there, and you read some of the stuff we found that, by the way, was not processed through the normal procedure, digitizing it, putting in FBI records. We found it in bags, hiding under Jim Comey's FBI. Quickly, you're going to be stunned.
FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino reacted today to a story we broke here on the show a week ago. It was exactly a week ago today we broke this story that the FBI had in 2020 significant intelligence showing that China may have been trying to hijack the 2020 election, interfere, try to help Joe Biden get elected by using fake driver's licenses to get Chinese residents on U.S. soil to file fake mail-in ballots during the 2020 election, all for Joe Biden.
The allegations include plans from the CCP to manufacture fake driver's licenses and ship them into the United States for the purposes of facilitating fraudulent mail-in ballots, allegations which, while substantiated, were abruptly recalled and never disclosed to the public. And you know how they were substantiated or corroborated? U.S. Customs and Border Protection intercepted nearly 20,000 fake licenses around the time the intelligence was coming in. So they had the intel that the Chinese were trying to steal the election for their boy Joe. They had information, literally they had caught the Chinese sending in fake driver's licenses. And what did they do? They buried it. Not only did they bury it, they said to their colleagues in the intelligence community that had seen the initial intelligence report, take it out of your system and delete it. So not only did they bury it, they destroyed it. And I'm glad Cash has turned it over to Chuck Grassley, but none of us have seen the documents yet. And in response to Cash's tweet promoting this, I asked him, when, it's great, it's an important development. Now, when are the American people going to see this information? It's declassified. Where are the documents?